name itself would give one a hint as to the originations of this legend, as it does go back to a story that Shakespeare would likely refer to himself as star-crossed lovers, as he's so familiar with writing about Romeo and Juliet, of course. And this story definitely draws some parallels, except it takes place in early America between two different types of populations. So in New Milford, the area known as Lover's Leap had varying names over the years prior to being called Lover's Leap, and many of them were Native American from the Wotanuck tribe. If I'm saying that wrong, my apologies. And there's a chief of the Wopanuck tribe called Chief Wampog. I'm just going to double check that I'm saying that right. I've checked his name probably 3 times, and I just like to be sure. Oh, Waramog. There you go. Chief Waramog of the Wotanuck tribe. And he's the head of this particular region. And he has a beautiful daughter named Lily Nona. And Lily Nona is wandering through the woods in the mid-1600s, as legend would state, when she comes upon a man who's also wandering in the woods. She notices him right away. When she notices him, it's because of the color of his skin. It's quite white, quite pale. She'd never seen a white man such as this so far north. She'd heard stories of them, but here was one right in front of her. He was young, about her age, and she seemed to take a little bit of a shine to him as he gave her a friendly regard. When he gave her a friendly regard, she could tell that he was hungry and not in good health. And she invited him back home so that he could, convalesce and get better in her tribe with her family, and she could take care of him. So she introduced him to her father, and he called him what would translate in English to Wandering White Man. Well, the Wandering White Man was nursed back to health by Princess Lily Nona, and during that period of time where she cared for the man, she fell in love with him and he fell in love with her. They decided that despite their cultural differences in 2 totally different walks of life, that they were going to marry. So Lily Nona and her husband-to-be go to her father, and they tell him that they would like to be married. He says that he needs to meditate upon this, and he goes to a great rock in the area and meditates upon the idea of this marriage. It's a big deal for them if he were to allow this. When he comes back from his meditation, he goes up to the couple and they're hoping for good news. And he has news that they can't quite make out if it's good or bad. It's more of a request from the native chief. He says, I would like you, sir, to go back to your people, tell them of the wedding that's to come, and invite them here for it. So he wants them to bring news. He wants it to be a native ceremony. And the young lady's lover agrees that he will go back and tell his family. And off he goes at the beginning of the spring, having spent the entire winter with Lily Nona. Now spring passes and fades well into summertime, and there's no sign of Wandering White Man returning at all to the region. At this time, Lily Nona's father says, we cannot wait any longer. You need to be married. You are at the point in your life where this has to happen, and I've picked a suitable young man for you. And he had picked a Native American man that he had known and thought would be a great husband for his daughter. He arranged for the wedding. The wedding preparations took place. Lily Nona had this beautiful deerskin dress that she was going to wear for the nuptials. And as she got ready and got all adorned for the ceremony, she could not get her first fiancé out of her mind, that was the man she was supposed to marry, and she could not live her life with anyone else. That would be far too tragic. So Lily Nona made her way to the great waterfall, and she made her way in what is deemed to be a white birch canoe that she had made. And she makes her way toward the waterfall, thinking of how she would rather die than be married, thinking of her lover. And as she makes it to the falls, she hears a cry. And she recognizes the voice. It's him. It's the Wandering White Man. And she looks back as she gets to the waterfall, and he's looking at her, arm outstretched. He made it back. He wants to marry her. But it's too late, and she begins to tip over the falls. He runs forward and leaps off the cliff. Their hands touch. They embrace. They hit the bottom of the falls together and die in each other's arms. Native American legend would dictate a happy end couple in the spirit world, saying that they would have the wedding they needed with the Great Spirit, and that is as the story was told, and they are wed on the other side. The English, who would pass on the story of Wandering White Man, would not tell such a tale that would end with the spirits being together. Their tale would end with restless human spirits wandering the region that would become named for them, Lovers' Leap. For the two lovers met their death thinking that they were not going to be together. Now, for Lovers' Leap, the ghost stories, what we're told, is quite fitting for a full moon weekend. And I look up because I'm looking at the moon peeking out from these dark clouds as if it knows the story I'm saying. And what they say is that if you visit Lover's Leap on a full moon night, you'll hear screaming in the woods. The screaming of Lily Nona as her canoe tips over the falls. The screaming of her lover as he cries out trying to save her one last time but is unable to. You hear their cries. And then a silence. A silence that quiets the birds, the bugs, any sound that nature could give you is gone. People say sometimes it's like Dudleytown. It gets so quiet in those moments after the screams. Now some say not only are they screaming as ghosts on full moon nights, but that in fact the area is cursed because their love story could not be fulfilled. And there are tales as recently documented as 2010 of vicious murders, suicides, and accidents that occur on the bridge over Lover's Leap, not far from where Lily Nona and Wandering White Man would meet their demise. Is it them having others plunged to their death? They say they become crazed, some other version of themselves. They don't know what's happening. Was the curse there for Lily Nona and the man she loved? How long has it been there and what causes it? It's a story of love, but a story of death. And with every story of light, there is dark. Have you been to Lover's Leap? Have you been on a full moon night? The next full moon is on Halloween. Perhaps you may want to pay a visit. Listen for their cries and let us know if you find them. Thank you so much for joining in for our Spooky Story Sunday. My name is Courtney. I am, again, sorry that we had multiple takes on this one, but I hope you enjoyed the story of the Lover's Leap in New Milford, Connecticut. I hope it doesn't keep you up too late at night. Now, we are operating tours all of October in Mystic, Connecticut with our fabulous team, ghost tours that take place in cemeteries, burial grounds, and through downtown Mystic. We would love to host you. You can book tickets at seasideshadows.com. We are hard at work making sure that you get all the best ghost stories and get to walk among the spirits this fall. We will be continuing to make videos as much as possible, and we thank you so much for following us, and we hope that you can like and share this video. Happy haunts and a beautiful rest of your Sunday evening. Thank you so much.